Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. But not to an insider session, but to an outsider session. Oh, it's so exciting, isn't it, Adam?
It's not just exciting, it's a massive relief. It's
Yes.
like the day after you get your exam results, discover it didn't matter that you failed after all.
I'm still waiting for that.
So, last week there was a bit of panic from people in the final insider session that none of the links were visible. They will become visible on the posts after the event, and we have some trained Wombles who are going to post links as we mention them, assuming
Yes.
they're capable trained Wombles.
But that still gives me the opportunity to say that they will be somewhere. Who knows?
Yes, which is an important part of these things.
It's become a tradition. Yes.
We didn't have to record without meeting over a telephone this week. We actually met because it's allowed, which
It
is
is
good.
allowed.
And we only met in a socially distanced manner that involved latex gloves and alcohol wipes. Actually, that sounds a bit dodgy.
That sounded very questionable. Moving fast.
Fast on. Anyway, so we ended up at a little, what I thought was a little wood that I had found on my way towards Murray's area of the world. And we recorded under the trees and it was all very lovely. And actually it turned out afterwards to be Clumber Park, which is closed. But we didn't know that. So
Well,
that's fine.
No, it was fine, and there were other people. So
Yes. And a dog, actually, which you will, I believe, see in the video.
yes, I think it did.
And the good news is it didn't do anything on my violin case, although I was wondering if it was going to. So the first track, I'd been thinking over a few jigs the night before, so it starts off very jiggishly. And Murray wanted to call this, or suggested we might call it, Getting Closer. One of our tracks previously was called Still No Closer, and we were getting closer.
I think I'm now going to call it Latex Gloves and Alcohol Wipes.
Yeah, it was probably better. I thought we might call it Clumber Park. Jeremy Bird, our announcer, as many of you will know, claims we had an argument about it, which we actually didn't even discuss it. We just put our opinions down and then walked away. He has given it a name of his own.
Yes.
They are arguing about what this is called. Adam thinks it is about a park. Murray thinks it is about getting closer. I think it should be called Jeremy is too tired to fly.
So there we are. It's a perfect moment, I think. After we finished our session, we kicked ourselves for not having taken a bottle of cider each to socially distancedly drink.
Yes.
However, now I can say thank you very much to Dunkertons for supporting us in our recent endeavours.
Absolutely.
Lots of very fine varieties. My favourite was a couple of days ago. I think it was called Brinkerton's Pimple or something. I've forgotten. That may not be right. Sorry,
I'm
Dunkertons.
not convinced I've had that one yet.
No, I'm not utterly sure I have either.
I had a bottle of Perry last night, which was
Ooh, that one is very nice.
very intriguing. Oh, it's good stuff. See, this work stuff is most rewarding.
Can be.
Talking of work, as many of you will know, we've been working on a CD, the Insider Sessions CD. Well,
Working on it by accident, really, because we had no intention of making a CD as this all began.
No, in fact, we had, I think, 2 other projects in mind, neither of which have occurred yet, and now this one has happened, and there's another one in mind, so it's very confusing sometimes.
Very confusing.
Anyway, I am proud and excited to say it is out, and I have them in my hands. They're
Limited.
available to ship.
A limited edition of 100 signed copies.
Yeah, this one is number 19. If Spike's watching, it will be wending its way to you very soon. So, the link is, if Wombles are paying attention,
check the
it will
comments.
now appear. Ready? Bing!
And we need to know if the Wombles are doing their job properly,
Oh,
because we could always fire them and get different Wombles.
we could. Oh.
Although maybe not this week.
How? Yes, this is all getting very confusing because I don't know how to even find them because I don't know where they go.
What, the Wombles?
No, the
Underground,
links.
overground.
We're not allowed to go to Wimbledon, probably.
No, probably not.
They've cancelled Wimbledon, haven't they?
I don't know if they cancelled the Wombles bit. This is getting a bit silly. I think we should
Move on.
move on.
Yes,
The next
okay.
track is one that Murray wrote. It's a very beautiful melody, and he did tell me the story about it just before we recorded it, but frankly he got very confused and had no real idea. It was recorded on our video, and I did allow Jeremy Bird to watch that so he knew what he was talking about, but I fear he may have had the same problems that I did. Can you do any better, Murray?
I'll do my very best. Yeah, I wrote it, I would say probably about 15 to 20 years ago, so forgive me for forgetting all the details, but I have checked it. So, Betty Corrigall, a young lady around 1700 and something, living on the island of Hoy in the Orkney Islands, and she, as people do, became entangled with a gentleman, and as things also happened, she ended up falling pregnant.
But there's no reason to believe it had anything to do with shoes, whatever Jeremy says.
No shoes were mentioned, but they did have shoes in 1700 and something, so you never know. But anyway, there she is. She finds herself pregnant out of wedlock, and her wonderful partner decides to take this opportunity to scarp her. Sails away, never to return. Poor Betty is heartbroken and decides to kill herself. However, she is detected in this plan and saved.
Yeah, she tried to drown herself, didn't she?
Yeah, tried to
I read
drown
that
herself.
too, after your explanation. It's on the internet, helpfully.
Yes, so she tried to drown herself but was rescued. But that was short-lived because she did unfortunately successfully hang herself a few days later. Now, we are talking 1700 and something, so the rules are really rather different than they would be now. She'd committed a major sin, so she could not be buried in consecrated ground.
The sin being suicide, specifically.
Sin being suicide, particularly. Also, getting pregnant out of wedlock, I imagine, was not doing her any favours.
Probably not.
And on top of the consecrated ground rule, even the laird and everyone else in authority would not allow her to be buried on their land. So she ended up being buried in the middle of an isolated hillside up on Hoy, and basically forgotten about until wartime, where the grave was found by soldiers and she was virtually perfectly preserved.
Yeah, she was kind of mummified in the peat.
By the peat. Even the noose was still there. Although legend has it, it disintegrated instantly upon contact with air, but who knows. There's all sorts of other details. We haven't got time to go into all the details. But
No, and frankly, they're all about a corpse, which after
They are,
a
which
while
is-
starts to feel a little gory.
exactly. Later on, it was planned that she should have a proper marking for her burial. So there is now a white picket fence and a gravestone. So if you drive to Hoy, which is a beautiful island, if you ever get the chance to go there, you can be driving for quite a good length of time through quite isolated areas, and then all of a sudden, as you go around the bend, you will just see this completely isolated little rectangular fence, and that is where Betty lies.
This one is called Betty Corrigall's Lament. Murray wrote it about a girl who died because she had so much fun with shoes. It's not about Betty Crocker. She makes cakes, not shoes.
So, Betty Corrigall's Lament.
Which brings us to needing to be cheered up, I would say. And what better than to head towards what most of you have actually tuned in for, I know, which is Jeremy Bird's interview. Some slightly disturbing items this week. Not in terms of your questions, although one of them was slightly dubious. But certainly in terms of his answers. It's also, I was talking to him and he wonders whether it's going to be possible to be interviewed by Murray next week, which could be technically challenging.
Yes, maybe people could put in suggestions. We managed to create this telephone system to hear each other. How could we develop it suitable for chickens?
Yeah, bearing in mind that his technological skills are, well, limited. About the same as mine, really.
I was about to say, you just beat me to that one.
One has to.
Jeremy.
So, yes, Jeremy. Good morning, Jeremy.
Good morning.
I'd just like to make sure all your fans can appreciate my special interview T-shirt.
You axolotl questions.
Yes, Jeremy.
Yes.
I'm going to.
I am a good reader.
You are a good reader. Quite remarkable, actually. Now then, your first question, it was just asked to me this morning.
Yes.
If you were going to participate in an
I saw
Olympic
a
sport,
sparrow.
you did see a sparrow. Well, I'll move on to a different question then.
A
What is
sparrow.
the unladen weight of a sparrow? No.
No.
The velocity of an unladen sparrow's weight. No, I've forgotten the question. Hang on, stay there. I need my list. There we go. Right.
My list.
What is the airspeed velocity of an unladen sparrow?
I don't like sparrows. They go in my garden.
Okay.
But
Ah,
I know the answer.
and it is?
2.
To what?
2
Okay. So back to the question.
sparrows. Ready?
Good. So, just to clarify,
Yes.
you suggest that the airspeed velocity of an unladen sparrow is 2 sparrows.
Yes.
Fine.
And the airspeed velocity of an unladen Jeremy Bird is 3 sparrows.
Yes. Okay. Well, I'm going to move on to the question I was going to ask.
Yes.
If you were going to try and win an Olympic gold medal,
A
which...
bee! I see a bee.
No, forget the bee. If you were going to try and win an Olympic gold medal, which sport would you want to be participating in? Snooker?
No. I would be a gymnast.
A gymnast?
Yes,
Okay.
because I could use my fabulous wings.
That might be cheating. I suppose that doesn't matter to you,
No.
does it?
I would not swim.
No?
I hate swimming
Yes.
really much.
Okay, yes.
Yes.
You were given the opportunity, weren't you? I remember.
Yes.
Yes. Ended up with my daughter stuck in a dustbin, unexpectedly.
Stupid guy.
Yes. Yes.
Not like me.
Not like you.
A fabulous bird.
A fabulous bird. Speaking of which,
Yes.
what's your favourite dish? Chicken
Dish?
tandoori or coq au vin? This isn't a very kind question, I have to say, but somebody did ask it. One of your fans, so
Murray.
they say. Oh, was it Murray?
Murray.
Yeah, he's not really one of your
I
fans, is he?
know Murray.
Yes. So what's the answer?
Sparrow.
Okay, let's move quickly on.
Tandoori.
Sparrow tandoori.
Yes.
So you're not a vegan then, are you?
No.
I'm going to try and find
I
one
eat eggs.
Yes, I don't think we should be sharing this. It's
And
depressing.
I'll hunt caterpillars.
Yes, that's also true.
Green ones.
Yes, that's definitely true.
I look for them. And I ate the strawberries.
You absolutely wrecked the strawberries, didn't you?
Yes.
Strawberry plants, I should
Yes,
say.
I dug them up.
And chewed them.
Chewed.
Right. I think it's time for the final question for today.
No.
Well,
There's a sparrow.
this
over
is
there.
this is an interest.
Look,
I can't see
on
a.
the bench.
Oh yeah,
This nesty birds.
and it's an unladen one.
Yes.
Now, what is the real
Two
reason?
sparrows.
What is the real reason that the chicken crossed the road? I know it's an obvious question, but it has been asked. What is the real reason the chicken crossed the road?
I crossed it when I was hunting a dog.
You did actually, didn't you?
Yes.
You left the garden,
Yes.
crossed the road to hunt the neighbour's dog. It was a bit of an incident, wasn't it, Jeremy?
Yes, because they were out of control. Running and running down the road, rushing and rushing down the road. They were going to attack the house and rob the house. So,
So you attacked
Yes,
them. You
yes.
attacked them, didn't
yes,
you, Jeremy? Jeremy? Jeremy?
yes,
I think honesty.
a car.
Yes. It's on the road. It's one of the reasons that chickens are supposed to be careful about crossing it.
Yes,
The dogs that you were talking about
yes.
belong to our neighbour.
Evil.
No, they
Yes.
belong to our neighbour.
Yes,
They may be evil, but they were under control. They were on leads.
yes.
He had them completely under control.
No.
Yes, completely under control. The only thing that wasn't under control was you.
Yeah.
That's a B. I know, leave it. You were running across the road. You attacked the dogs.
I did.
Yes. Well, thank you very much for that, Jeremy. I'm sure there'll be more questions for
They
you
were
next.
bad.
There will be more questions for you next week.
I ran and attacked.
Yes, you did.
And you had to fetch me.
I did.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you,
I
Jeremy.
was in trouble.
Thank you very much,
Poor
Jeremy.
fabulous bird.
The interview's over.
Poor bird.
The interview is over.
No.
Goodbye, Jeremy.
So it remains to be seen whether I will have the... I'll use the word privilege, but I'm not certain it is.
I'm perfectly certain it isn't. Interviewing him this week was highly challenging.
Yes. Okay, well, it might happen next week. We'll see.
He will definitely happen, even if he has to interview himself.
Does he have Bluetooth?
I don't think he's got any teeth.
Excellent. We shall see. So before we introduce the last piece, just the normal reminders of links and things like that. So as already mentioned, brand new CD. The link will appear now, Wombles. Bing. We also have our very first CD, Untold. I have actually noticed over the last few weeks, we seem to have sold more of the new one than of the old one, so I'm just wondering whether everyone who's got the new one has a copy of the old one, and they do make a perfect set. They complement each other really well. They sit on the shelf saying, "Oh, you look lovely." They're
Yes, they do.
Yes.
Very, very convincing.
I know. I
It's
thought
also,
that's-
as you all know, nearly Christmas.
It is, yes.
And the old one, it's not that old, to be honest. It only came out
Oh.
in February. It's in a dual case, which means you can use it as a coaster to put hot drinks on,
Yeah,
which makes it a dual-purpose present.
absolutely.
So
could be
thinking
better?
ahead, that's my suggestion for all your friends for Christmas.
There we go. And also, as we always mention, our little coffee fund. You are also wonderful and generous, and we really do appreciate every week when
And
you've
you
bought
buy
us a
us a
coffee.
Because it's also
really
true
is
that
lovely.
although Dunkertons are indeed supporting us, they
We-
may not have understood the level of our need.
No. I'm not certain they could cope with our level.
No, they
of
only
need.
have a relatively small production supply, I imagine.
Yeah,
they do sell through Sainsbury's and things.
Yeah, but
But
I'm
that's
not
only a
near a
small
Sainsbury's, so it doesn't help.
No.
So, yes, the coffee link. Wombles, ready? Bing. There we go. Marvellous. Thank you. Adam, shut me up. Tell me about the next tune.
I was just going to see where this was going. So, the next tune is an old Tyneside Jig. I think it's one my grandpa used to play, but you know they're all a little bit similar. This exists in a manuscript from 1860, so it's collected in Tyneside. So it's exactly the place and time where my grandfather's uncle and his other fiddling predecessors would have been playing. So we decided to do that. The name.
Yeah, go on. I want to hear this.
Yeah, the name is has to be pronounced in a broad Tyneside accent, which
Excellent.
I think overall I've lived too far south for that, and I'm not going to trouble myself with trying. Jeremy Bird gives it a go in a minute, as you'll see. But I was talking to my mum not so long ago about her grandmother, and was reminded that her grandmother, when she reached her 100th birthday, did a very extended radio interview, and you hear her in her extremely Tyneside accent. So we've got some lovely audio of that. I just put a few clips together to show you the accent that the tune should be pronounced in. And just to go with it, also, my grandpa ran some fishing boats out of Whitby, and one of the very last old-style cobbles, I think, unless it was a trawler, one of the old-style boats was built for him, and there's some footage that he took on a silent cine camera, so it's quite a rare thing. So you will hear great-grandma, and you'll see something utterly unrelated to it, so I hope you can cope.
That is very reminiscent of the insider recording sessions, really. Hey ho! It's
I
a cracking.
Hear great grandma during the insider recording sessions. I couldn't hear you, but I couldn't hear her either.
Maggie Thatcher, I'd like to flatter. I'd like, if I could get alongside of her, I'd tell her what I think of her. I'm all out of patience with what's going on now. Talking about milk coming from France. Well, if the housewife has any goods, she won't buy it. But it's going to be cheaper, so I suppose they will.
But there used to be a lot of Scottish girls gutting the fish.
Oh, yeah. They had to do on the new key, because there wasn't the extensions there wasn't the fish key that there is now. You see, there was only the pier, because the kids used to be on the sands down below. Yes. Right. Here things have altered a lot. They're spoiling Whitby.
What way?
Well, let these supermarkets get in, shutting up all the little shops. It's a blooming shame.
Do you remember, or you must remember, the big herring fleets sort of in the 1914 time?
Yes. Some do, the herrings, I wasn't much amongst them. Serve them. Yes, it is.
Well, I mean, what else were food prices like, or do you remember?
Oh, why, of course. Meat, you could get meat for very little. Oh, it was, I can't remember what the prices were now, but there weren't much, I know. No, you got on better, you could manage, all right. In fact, there was in Dobbs every meat, you just have vegetables, because old Mrs. Rowe lived there, Tommy Rowe's grandmother, great-grandma, I think it would be, and she had a fruiterer's shop. Well, you could go there with a penny and get a turnip and a carrot and some onions. You can't now. It's a good job. I don't mind. I don't buy any meat. I don't bother. And I come across now and again pensioners complain about the price of meat, but they will have their joints. Well, I don't.
I had when he was the Unitarian minister. You know, he was the one to get all the footpaths open that nobody bothers about now.
Well, the two might be unrelated, but it's just fascinating to both hear and see. So thank you for that one, Adam.
It's a pleasure. Thank you, Mother.
Yes.
So don't forget to comment on how well the Wombles are doing in posting the links.
Yeah, we need to
to
know.
know whether to continue to employ them or whether they should be fired.
Yeah. Where do you get new Wombles from? Is there a website?
Well, where did we get the last Wombles from?
I don't know. They just kind of turned up. Yeah, it's
socially isolated Wombles, obviously.
But of course, yes.
We haven't been close to them. No. We just provided them with technology in the garden.
Excellent. Let's listen to this
it's time
tune.
to listen to the jig.
Yes.
This one is a Tyneside Jig called I Never Gun Home to Me Mummy Nimmer.
Right, well, that's all we've got in terms of music, chickens, Wombles, or anything else for you this evening. I hope you've enjoyed it. We'll be back next week with another OutCider session, so bye-bye from me.
That's brilliant. Yeah, hopefully the weather will... I think the weather's set fair, so I would imagine we will be back in a wood somewhere with alcohol wipes, etc., and recording some more music. Don't forget to look at the links, and we'll see you next week.